How's things, Mark? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, just having a coffee, trying to wake up a little bit over here. We're not used to these early starts.
So you're saying you've been busy through the lockdown, Mark? Yeah, what have you been doing?
Well, Monday to Friday, I don't think I've ever been as busy because obviously I really always had two jobs. Mark Knight, the artist, then Mark Knight, record label owner. So it's always been balancing two. Yep. And there's been areas of the record label side of things that, because there's only limited time to pull two things off. I mean, it's already a 7-day-a-week situation. There's things I wanted to get to. I'd never really had time, and because I'm not distracted in terms of touring and going away, I've really got more granular on certain aspects of the business that I wanted to. I knew I needed to do, but it's one of the things. If you start scratching the surface and you don't really have a time to finish off doing what it's doing, well, if it's not broken, I'm going to leave it. But for the first 8 weeks, I mean, just very, very focused on dealing with that aspect of what I do. Once I sort of got to the bottom of that, then I was like, oh God, I've got to make some music. I can't do this every day. So, been flat out making loads and loads of music, producing records for people, writing loads of new music for myself. Just started working on an album. I mean, literally, I'm going to do 1 or 2 tracks a week at the moment in different sort of context, as I say.
Yep.
Like, for example, next week I'm writing the new Have a Small single, wrote a record for Diana Ross. God, what else have I done? Loads of stuff for our other label, Ghost producing sort of ad prod and production for sort of more commercial dance music. So been absolutely flat out busy.
I think people have just regrouped and tried to turn this into more of a positive thing, haven't they? They've just thought this is just make what you can of it, really.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we can do, isn't it? You know, I mean, it is what it is, and you just got to get a sink or swim, and you're certainly not going to sink. So, you just got to use the time as constructively as possible.
Yep. Just taking it back to the kind of earlier days then, Mark, how was it you get inspired to get into music then? What inspired you to get into DJing and that then? Where did it all begin?
To be honest, I was always making music as a kid, always buying music, ever since I can ever remember, since I was, it's all I ever spent my pocket money on, get my pocket money, get a bus into town and then spend all day hunting around record shops when I was 9 or 10. So that, inadvertently, I suppose I'd always sort of had that background as a DJ. But back then in the 80s, early 80s, there weren't careers as a DJ. So it wasn't something you could think, okay, well, I'm interested in this, I'll go on to become that. And I got into, the idea of making very basic music and then, all the world sort of collided really with me falling in love with electronic music, seeing that there was potential to be a DJ. I'd always bought music. I was obsessed with it. I had set up at home and I thought, you know what, this could be a job. And then the rest was history, really.
You're talking about records there, just quickly. You can always tell the old school DJs because they've always got bigger muscles, haven't they, from carrying the records around. All the new DJs are all kind of skinny, aren't they?
Exactly, that's very true. Although a lot of the kids now, they're probably more obsessed with being in the gym than learning how to make music. So I don't know, maybe we're going back to the old days.
Yeah, it's about lugging the records.
Well, you said it.
You don't work out with a USB.
That's for the production as well, Mark.
Exactly.
The technology's changed so much over the last sort of 10, 20 years and so, like, how did you first get started with actually making the music and the production side of it?
Oh, God, with like the most basic samples where you get like 4 or 5 seconds worth of sample time in the sampler. And then I bought an Akai 900 and very much of that era. And an Atari for a little while. And then bought my first Mac. God knows when that was. Pretty much when Logic came out. So I'd always, to be fair, I kind of more of the Logic generation than a very early sequencing. It was more of that era. Learned that from scratch, and then all stayed with that for many years, and then sort of now work in Ableton. But I still still dabble my hand in Logic, but yeah, then usually but it usually ends by throwing my computer out the window at the end of the day.
I know that.
I sort of stick with Ableton at the moment.
Yeah, I think Ableton
is a wee bit frustrating at times, Logic.
Yeah.
Ableton's very user friendly, isn't it?
It is, and it's just very good for getting, if you've got an idea and you've got a vibe in your head, it's very easy to get that going and getting it to work straight away. You can say, okay, that is a good idea, or no, it's not going to quite work. Where Logic is a lot more labour intensive to get to that point of realisation. So, yeah, I just started using it in that context initially, and then I'm like, well, do you know what? It's actually, I mean, it doesn't sound as good as Logic, nowhere near, but I mean, I think if you can really extract the most out of it, I think it's an overall win. Definitely.
Yeah, it's incredible how times have changed, probably back from when you got started, even to the social media heavy kind of world of music now as well. It's such a different game now, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's unfortunately with that, and I don't want to sound bitter in any way, but you can see that the pop model was very much creeped into electronic music, and which I find a real shame. I mean, because dance music was kind of always the anti of what pop did. It was the antithesis of what pop was doing,
Yeah.
It's now fallen into the same sort of set of rules. As you said earlier, like the Instagram piece about creating a profile and all that ahead of substance.
Yeah.
And that I find that a bit disappointing, because it was never about that. It was about, it was an open playing field, and it wasn't controlled by the majors, and you had an opportunity to get in and say something if you could say something, and that's now been kind of throttled by by majors and the sort of pop setup of like, well, look, you've got to look like this, you've got to do these things. It's like, well, can you actually fucking do any music fundamentally first? Oh, don't worry about that. We'll get someone to do that for you.
Yeah,
and it's like it's a shame. It has changed a lot. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. There's some really incredible new talent coming through. So it's just evolving like anything. I suppose it's sort of suffered from its own success, really.
Yeah, I think you're a good example of embracing that. You're a good example of how to embrace the social media era and how to create a great presence. What you've created with Toolroom is unbelievable. You guys and the team behind you guys it's admirable, definitely.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think our biggest asset is always knowing what we wanted to be and realise what we could achieve. Yep. And being very focused on that, not trying to be something of the moment and chase things that are in vogue. It's about, look, we stand for this through thick or thin. Yep. And I think that always pays dividends long term. That always sort of breeds longevity, I find. I think the biggest compliment anyone could ever give you is, from an A&R perspective, is that you have a sound. People say, I've made a record and it sounds very Toolroom. And if you can get to that point in your career as a record label, then I think there's not much more you can do, and that's through just maintaining a certain sound and presence and a level of integrity and consistency and quality. So, and that's what we've tried to achieve. That we've never steered away from that. We've never tried we want to be the most in thing. It's like, if we are through just what we do, we are. If we're not, let's just stick to the plan.
Yep, that stays true.
Yeah, definitely. Toolroom's been phenomenally successful. How was it all get started? What was the kind of vision at the start when just getting off the ground and stuff?
Well, I mean, I was releasing lots of records on other people's labels, and I thought, look, these guys can't run a fucking bar, let alone a record label.
Say it like that, as Mark. Say it like that.
Well, I will. Let's stop running record labels now. I can get away with it. About 20 years ago, it was great, because it was great to learn almost by their mistakes, to think, I wouldn't have done it like that. You'd spend so much time labouring over a record to get it to the best you could do, and they would just flop it out. And you're like, wow, I've spent months on that, and you've not promoted it properly. And then they didn't account to you. And I just felt that I could do it better. And just randomly at the time, my brother, who was a car salesman, me and him pretty much done everything together our whole lives, he lost his job. And my dad retired, and my dad was in the music industry. But in the early days, he was a drummer, and he was in a band, and they were fairly successful. They toured, and then he got into business and got out of the music industry. And he retired, and three of us sat down and we were like, look, you know, we're at this position in our lives. I want to start a record label because I'm doing this music and it's just not realizing its potential. My brother needed a job, and he loved house music, and he was always very much the office element of it, the business side of it with my dad. And three of us sat down and said, look, you know, what do you want to be? At the time, we looked at record labels we aspired to, your Subliminals, Strictly's, and people like that. But look, we want to be as good as that. You know, we know it's not going to happen overnight. And we wrote a sort of 5-year game plan, and we stuck to it religiously and invested everything we had into it. And that's how it began. And it's called Toolroom because basically there's a shed outside my parents' house. And at the time when we were committed to doing this, I sold everything I had, my house, my car, everything I owned. I invested it into a studio in the shed, and where it was called the Toolroom. We put the lawnmower in there and the spade and all the gardening gear and that. And we said, well, we should call it Toolroom Records because that's the soul of what that's the heart and soul of what we're about.
Brilliant. I think what's really admirable about it as well is the fact that obviously moving on to the Toolroom Academy, you're actually nurturing the new talent and you're giving them the tools to move forward, and then you're not only just helping them but you're also supporting them in their own releases. It's phenomenal. Do you want to tell us more about the Academy then, Mark?
Sure. I mean, we're probably as much football fans, fanatics as we are music in our family and in our business. And we looked at that, what football clubs have been doing for many years, and the process of finding talent through the medium of academies, and it's a very lucrative business as well. I mean, football clubs make a lot of money from that, and it works twofold. Not only can you make money selling them product on the way to the dream, you can find people that will join all the dots and realise the dream. So we just thought, that model works very well in sport. Why don't we apply it to what we do? And going back to what I said earlier, we very much have a sound, and people want to learn how to make music the sort of Toolroom way. And what we said we would do is not just have a kind of blanket approach to teaching people. It would be learning by people who've had bona fide careers in music. It's not like you can go online and learn how to put reverb on a snare. That's easy. You could watch a million YouTube videos. But, if you want to learn by someone who's had, number one, like Dean Ramirez, who's had world number ones and toured the world and been at the top of his game, then that's a very interesting USP. And that was what we achieved, what we wanted to do, is by learning by R&R. So we would give you direct feedback as if we would do, we were signing a record from anyone, Elias and Barrientos. There's no difference in the level of application we'll give their music and attention and music we'll give to their music we would do for everything Elias and Barrientos or anyone else in the roster. It's and that's what people sign up for, and that's what they get, as opposed to being on a more generic course.
What do you kind of look for then, Mark, in releases, if artists are sending demos into you? What is it that stands out? What do you like, the original ideas then that stands out to you?
You can just hear it. I mean, it's hard to really quantify that in one sense. You can just hear, even if it's not the finished article, you can hear there's a sort of multitude of factors, just sound choice, style, energy, arrangement. You could just hear that someone's got it. I mean, Wheats is a prime example of that. He came very much through the academy. This demo drop at one of the things we did at Brighton, and straight away you could hear, okay, this kid's got something. He really has. And it's like, it's like when you hear a record, it's like, why is one record better than another? You just go, okay, I know that there's something in that record that's right. And it's no different at that level. You can just connect with the ability someone has. And, we spend a lot of time with Wheats, and probably about 6-8 months before releasing any music, really honing that and getting that right. And I'd spend a lot of time going to his studio. He would, we'd speak 3 or 4 times a day, saying, no, change that, try. Until we really kind of refine that talent into something that works. And then you set a quality threshold. So look, every time you write a record, it has to be that good. You have to apply all of those factors to that record. That's your template now. And that's what the great thing about the Academy is, we're finding people through it, you know. And some people make it, some people don't. That's just how it goes. That's life, isn't it? But it gives them an opportunity to get close to us and vice versa.
Yeah, you must have a lot of tracks get sent through to like demo tracks and stuff as well. So how do you manage to kind of sift through all those, and what kind of advice would you give to people that are maybe trying to get their tracks noticed?
It's very hard. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I think some days you can get up to 500 demos. I mean, and even if you employed someone full time all day, every day, you couldn't get through it all. It would just be impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we dip into the demos of Toolroom Records. Of course, we do. That would be sacrilege if we didn't. But the reality is, we can't get through it all. And it's just, it's about just making yourself heard. We're very, very approachable. We're super down to earth. We're just, just the guys. We're like, there's no hierarchy. There's no bullshit or anything involved with what we do. If you want to get on, just give us a shout, and find a way. Give us a shout. Just get in touch with any blokes. We want to hear this music as much as you want to give it to us. There's no standoffishness or any divide. It's just like, man, give me some music and I'll check it out, And so it's about just finding a way to connect with us. It's so easy in this day and age for all the different mediums, social media, just do what you can, just get friendly. Like, I don't know, comment on a load of posts, have a laugh. I think the best way to us, what we love, the people we like working with the most are just the same kind of people. People who's just good lads, down to earth, good laugh. Because for all the tea and shine, you come to work, in this industry because you love it and you don't want to work with dickheads. So instantly if you find someone who's having a good bit of banter online and they go, look, I've got this track for you. You go, of course I'll check it out. It's like anything in life, how do you start a relationship? It's that kind of principle, isn't it, really? But just make yourself heard. But I'm just trying to manage expectations. It's very hard for us to get through all the demos. It would virtually be impossible. So do whatever you've got to do to just get hold of us, because we're approachable.
Brilliant. Just kind of briefly as well, Mark, going back to your career, what's some of the standout moments, would you say? What's some of your highlights of your career so far then, would you say?
I get asked this question a lot, and I don't know really. I never dwell on. Well,
as a modest guy.
I'm so busy thinking what I've got to do today and what a million people want me to do. I don't really have time to like that.
Can't remember much about
that. Or you're running around taking kids elsewhere. You don't really have that moment. Oh, wow, that was a moment. It's like, come on, get the stuff in the car. We've got to go to the skate park. We've got a football match in a minute. So I don't really look at it like that, really. I mean, we've done some really cool things. I suppose off the top of my head, selling out Brixton was pretty cool. We did that. I mean, we were the Swedish House Mafia did it for us, and then we did it when there was a shift between just doing club shows and doing hard ticket shows in venues like that. And we were the sort of second brand to ever do that. So that was pretty cool. But apart from that, I can't really think of anything else. I'm more worried about getting this track now this afternoon, getting that right. I'll cross that bridge first.
Moving forward.
Exactly. We're always looking forward. Don't worry about looking backwards. We've done that.
Let me ask as well, Mark. So, obviously, you're kind of DJ, producer, record label owners. You get so many different things happening. How do you manage your time and split it between all those different kind of job roles? I guess.
By never sleeping. I don't know. I don't find it a chore. Do you know what I mean? So you just make it happen. I think you've got to be super organised. I mean, and I've got an amazing team. It's far from me. I mean, we've got 23 people who work for us. So we're a team. It's not an I. It's the team that makes this successful. It's all the people around me and me, it's all of us. It's not me, far from just me. It's all of our collective effort that make the whole thing work, and we work really well together. And I mean, everyone lives and breathes it in our company, and it's honestly, you couldn't be more proud of a bunch of people. They would give you right arm for you, and if phone 3 o'clock on a Sunday morning and said, look, I need you to do this, it'd be done. It would be done. So and we'd all do the same thing for each other. That's never even questioned. So yeah, it's all credit to them really that this all works and makes me look good.
They're doing a great job. No, I think it's inspirational to see, even in the beginnings of where you started, you knew that whole team effort was everything, because that set the standards for what you've grown into now, didn't it? I think a lot of people out there try and do too much on their own and maybe feel like they have to do it all on their own. But I think delegating those jobs and having the team behind you is just it's like-minded people, eh?
I mean, look, as an individual, you can be great. As a team, you can be unstoppable. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the way you have to look at it. If you know how to motivate people and you get the right people doing the right things, so you're not getting people going, oh, I'm doing this job, but I really want to, I'm doing the job as label management, but I really want to be a producer, or I'm in accounts, but really I want to be a DJ. It's like, we get the right people to do the right thing. You've got the right complement. It's as I said, I'm a massive football fan, and you won't go on the pitch of 11 strikers. You know what I mean? It's about putting the right team on the pitch and knowing, where to put those people and where to play them, and get the most out of them by being the captain and leading from the front and doing that part of the job. I've always tried to do that. That's the one thing. That's my responsibility. My responsibility is to make sure I lead from the front, and no matter if you're playing in Sao Paulo on Saturday night, you need to be in the office on Monday. I need to be in the office at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Sorry, the Rupert coming. I'm just doing a thing. What are you eating?
Somebody hijacking.
It's a little. It's your responsibility to be making the tea at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning. So if you can have that captain's role and motivate people like that.
Sorry.
No, I'm all right, thanks. So that's my son. That's the role. That's the role I try to play within the business, and hopefully that that motivates people in the right way. And we work on the principle that it is our business. It's ours. And when we do well, it's like a kind of John Lewis thing. At the end of the year, if we made a load of money, we just split it between the whole team. Whatever we make, we get split. And that's, people feel that not only do they believe in it on a kind of personal level, what they then enjoy, do it on a financial level. If we do well, we all do well.
What you guys have achieved with Toolroom has been incredible, definitely. So what's coming next? Do you think what's happening next?
Thank you. Well, I suppose it's hard to really say that, based on what's happened. I mean, I think what we are, in the short term, we're focusing on readdressing or refocusing the output based more on the situation. I mean, there's no point in putting out loads of real big, heavy club bangers, because there's nowhere really that to kind of gain any momentum. So I don't, if you look at the release schedule in the last since say Feb, we've done a lot more vocals, been more orientated to giving people music that is easy to consume in a kind of Spotify home environment. It still obviously has a connection to and a relation to what we do in clubs, but I just don't feel at the moment to do loads of really heavy techno and things that don't make sense, or real big main room tech house. We haven't got the clubs there to join the dots of that. So in the short term, we are staying very focused to that as an idea, and just put back, to really readdress and try to invigorate within the industry the kind of idea of writing songs again, putting out pieces of music, not tracks to get gigs. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to writing songs. Look, put it this way: if you were to say, do a bootleg of the big record of now, what would you do?
Yeah, the biggest ones.
Hard to pull one out of the air, isn't it? There's not
much out
that
there.
many about. So the idea is let's go back to writing songs, things that in 10 years' time you'll be bootlegging of now. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's a hole for that in the industry right now, about creating what's called evergreen records that do well continually. You're finding all those records that you look back over the years that are all in Pete Tong's orchestra thing. Let's get more of those that represent now. And while we're not on this hamster wheel, track gig. Do you know what I mean? It's like there are no gigs, and that might not even happen next year. So let's get back to the, let's get back to the fundamentals of what we do and putting out music, So that's our initial focus. Obviously, more on the academy, expanding that. That's going phenomenally well because people have the time to be at home. Yep. So in the first instances, there are two kind of main focuses, and I suppose you just got to watch to see how things play out in terms of what we do in events moving forward.
Yep, definitely. No, thanks a lot for taking time out to chat to us, Mark. We really appreciate it.
No worries. All good chats.
I'm glad we got the connection to work okay, because John will back me up on this. I don't wear this hat for any old guest, any old riffraff, Mark. I've put this hat on especially for you, my friend. So I'm glad we got there in the end.
You wear it well. For a minute, I thought I was doing an interview with Madness.
Thanks very much for taking the time out to chat to us, Mark.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Take care, Mark. All right.